My sister is real. My bro is real, amen? I mean, just you receive what? 100-fold. However you want, he didn't say 100 more. He says 100-fold. Whatever you want to interpret that as 100 more or 100-fold or whatever it is, listen, it is a lot more. Amen. Right? It's a lot more. We shall not receive 100-fold now in this time. Houses and brothers and sisters and mothers and children and lands, Singaporeans, lands. Singapore, lands. If God has to make land for you, He'll make land. I claimed this promise many years ago when there were people telling me, Christian leaders telling me, right now in Singapore, there's no more land. You cannot build anything. I said, God, I trust you can. I don't know how. Your word is a lamp unto my feet. I just trust you. Provide for us. You are sitting in a miracle. Okay, you're sitting in a miracle.
On the next broadcast,
every day has its own trouble. Don't worry about tomorrow. Just saying, the grace I give you is only for today. He wants you to live today.
Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast with Pastor Joseph Prince. Be encouraged and refreshed every day as you learn how much God loves you. We pray that you stay greatly blessed, highly favored, and deeply loved.
我哋住劏房，冇水務署嘅獨立水費單，都唔知業主有冇收多我。
我冇諗住收多㗎。
業主向租戶收取嘅水費超過交俾水務署嘅金額就係違法。快啲參加呢個計劃，為劏房戶安裝獨立水錶。
有咗獨立水費單，用幾多俾幾多，
清楚晒，唔使拗。
仲有免費用水量添。
想知計劃詳情或舉報濫收水費，請打水務署熱線。
Welcome to the MasterChef Kitchen!
MasterChef is mixing things up. New contestants versus familiar favorites.
You'll be cooking a dish that represents your strength.
Pearl has something new just for you. Don't miss out.
MasterChef Australia, tonight at 8:30 on Pearl.
We have all the facts and viewpoints we need to build our home together. Join me, Eugene Chan, on Straight Talk every Tuesday night at 8 on TVB Pearl.
A new regulatory regime for the travel industry has been in full force from September the 1st, 2022. Travel agent, tourist guide and tour escort are regulated by the Travel Industry Ordinance. If a licensee commits any irregularities, the Travel Industry Authority will act according to the law. A travel agent must hold a valid license to do business. Always patronize a licensed agent to safeguard your interests. Please visit the authority's website for more.
Tonight, a catastrophe unfolding in Ukraine. A critical dam destroyed, putting hundreds of thousands in danger. The disaster growing as floodwaters surge downriver. Thousands are evacuating tonight. The new fears about the potential impact on a nearby nuclear plant. Russia and Ukraine trading blame for the blast. President Zelensky calling it an environmental bomb of mass destruction. Just breaking tonight, late details on reports of a mass shooting near a college campus. How it's impacting a high school graduation. Plus, air quality alerts across the U.S. 100 million at risk. Why it's so bad out there and what you need to know to stay safe. Golf world shakeup. A merger blindsiding top players and fans alike as the PGA unites with its bitter rival. But will all be forgiven as backlash blows across the globe? Prince Harry makes history, taking the stand in a high-stakes trial against British tabloids. His riveting testimony and what he said about his mother Princess Diana. Chris Christie's campaign kickoff, a one-time Trump loyalist laying into the former president as former Vice President Mike Pence readies to get in the race. Despite a red-hot job market, why some employers are pulling job offers already promised to new college grads. And taking the scenic route, one man's walk around America, inspiring us along the way.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening and welcome. For the people of Ukraine, it must feel like the indignities and suffering have no end. Tonight, for thousands, water has now become the latest weapon used against them. The apparent purposeful destruction of a major dam has left up to 80 towns at risk from deep and fast-moving floodwaters. The attack has already forced 16,000 people from their homes. The Kakhovka Dam provided power, drinking water, and crucially, water used to cool Europe's largest nuclear power plant. Tonight, American and Western officials say the U.S. has intelligence leaning toward Russia as the culprit. Ukraine's president calling it a war crime, but Russia accusing Ukraine of the attack. It comes amid signs Ukraine is back on the offensive. Molly Hunter is there tonight.
Tonight, water still racing through the Kakhovka Dam in southern Ukraine. Entire neighborhoods in Kherson flooded. Rescuers evacuating more than 1,000 people. When the dam exploded this morning, dramatic videos showing the entire middle section swallowed up by the Dnipro River. These satellite images showing the devastating aftermath. The U.S. has intelligence that is leaning toward Russia as the perpetrator of the attack, according to 2 U.S. officials and 1 Western official, but no final determination yet.
We cannot say conclusively what happened at this point. And what we absolutely can say is that the damage to the Ukrainian people and to the region will be significant.
Ukraine pointing the finger directly at Moscow. President Zelensky calling it a terrorist attack and a war crime, saying tonight up to 80 Ukrainian villages could be at risk. Russian state media first denied, then blamed Ukraine.
The Kakhovka Dam is one of 6 dams on the Dnipro River. It provides vital drinking water, it provides power, and it provides water for the cooling pools at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant.
One analyst estimates some 300,000 civilians could be without clean drinking water by tonight, and some 500,000 will be affected by power outages and flooding. Tonight, Ukraine's nuclear energy chief telling NBC News the Zaporizhzhia plant occupied by Russia has enough water for now.
There is no immediate threat in that, and the level is normal in their presence on site, and this is my biggest concern. They just showed us today what they can do, and that they do not stop.
Meanwhile, tonight, the Washington Post reports that 3 months before the attack on Russia's Nord Stream gas pipeline, the Biden administration learned from a close ally that the Ukrainian military had planned a covert attack targeting it. The paper citing multiple officials familiar with the matter, which does not say if the plan was carried out. NBC News has not confirmed the report. Ukraine has previously denied involvement.
Molly, if we could circle back to the attack of the dam. I know Ukraine believes Russia was trying to derail its long-awaited effort to take back Ukrainian territory from Russia.
Lester, that's right. Ukrainian officials saying tonight that they believe Russia was attempting to cut off that southern route for Ukrainian troops. But President Zelensky very clear tonight saying the attack did not hinder any counter-offensive plans. Lester?
Molly Hunter, thank you. And back home, we have breaking news at this hour. Reports of what may be a mass shooting in Richmond, Virginia, near Virginia Commonwealth University. Let's get right to Dana Griffin with the latest. Dana, what do we know so far?
Lester, we understand a high school graduation ceremony was underway at the theater on the corner of the VCU campus. That is when, according to Richmond Public Schools, a shooting happened outside that theater. Now, our local station in Richmond is reporting a number of injuries. Students on the VCU campus were alerted to avoid the area. In that alert, they tell students there is not an ongoing threat to the community. Another high school graduation for later tonight has been canceled as authorities begin their investigation. Lester?
Dana, thank you. Turning now to the air we breathe, with 100 million people at risk under air quality alerts today, blamed on pollution and even smoke from wildfires hundreds of miles away. Emily Ikeda has details.
Tonight, hazy skies are blanketing wide swaths of the country, from Boston to Philadelphia to New York City, where you can barely make out the skyline.
Coughing, chest is tight, eyes blacking up.
And near Syracuse, an eerily yellow tint. In the South and Midwest, 35 million under air quality alerts as a result of high concentrations of ozone or pollutants paired with heat. And in more than a dozen states, 65 million facing poor air quality due to smoke from out-of-control blazes in Canada. Already this year, 9 million acres torched there.
This is a scary time for a lot of people, not just in Alberta, but right across the country.
Smoke from those towering flames drifting hundreds of miles into the U.S. and raising alarm bells among medical experts.
When we're breathing wildfire smoke, that smoke is getting into our lungs, and they may feel irritation, a tingling sensation in their throats. Sometimes their eyes will tear.
Experts say poor air quality can be hazardous to anyone, but especially seniors, children, and those with respiratory conditions. The health risk posed by wildfire smoke continues to worsen in the U.S. as the number of people experiencing at least one day of unhealthy air quality has increased 27-fold over the last decade. To stay safe,
limit the time you spend outdoors and limit the amount of physical activity, the strenuous physical activity that you're doing.
As the threat continues this week, all eyes remain on the sky. Emily Ikeda, NBC News, New York.
Now to a seismic shakeup for the golf world tonight. The PGA uniting with its bitter rival, Saudi-backed Live Golf. Miguel Almaguer now, and why the fallout from the new partnership goes far beyond the fairway.
Striking a deal that blindsided the sports world, today's merger between the PGA and Saudi-backed Live Golf transcends the game. Some of the sport's biggest names joined Live just a year ago, launching a bitter rivalry on the fairways, pitting top players against each other, creating geopolitical tension, dividing fans, and triggering a slew of lawsuits.
I think the golf world, including the biggest names in the sport, were stunned. I don't think anybody saw this coming.
Why did it happen?
Money. At the end of the day, money. And discovery down the line that was ahead with lawsuits that were pending for both sides.
With billions of dollars to be invested by Saudi Arabia, often criticized for human rights violations, Yasser Al-Rumayyan becomes chairman of the new entity.
We've recognized that together we can have a far greater impact on this game than we can working apart.
For PGA Commissioner Jay Monahan, a dramatic reversal from a year ago when tour players were leaving for lucrative deals with Live, angering 9/11 families.
I would ask, any player that has left or any player that would ever consider leaving, have you ever had to apologize for being a member of the PGA Tour?
I don't know the answer to how palatable this will ultimately be, but there are a lot of people who aren't going to be happy about it, but I think it was really damaging to the game of golf the way the situation existed for the last, year and a half.
Star players like Phil Mickelson and Brooks Koepka joined Live and were suspended from the PGA.
I understand I'm going to get for it, and I'm totally cool with that.
Tonight it appears they'll be welcomed back. The news cheered by some players like Mickelson, while others caught off guard and angry. The question now, will fans embrace or tee off on the new tour? Miguel Almaguer, NBC News.
We are learning more tonight about the passengers and pilot aboard that doomed private jet that crashed Sunday in a Virginia forest, including the unusual connection a mom and her baby on board had with the couple who owned the aircraft. Here's Tom Costello.
The tragic end to Sunday's private plane crash is only compounded with the details of the victims who died. The owners of the plane, John and Barbara Rumpel of Florida, tell NBC News they had adopted 49-year-old Adina Azaria when she was 40 because she reminded them of another daughter they'd lost in a scuba accident. Azaria was headed home to New York with her 2-year-old child, Aria, and their nanny, Edvani Smith. The question, why did the pilot, Jeff Hefner, fail to respond to air traffic controllers within 15 minutes of departing, then fly for 2 hours, presumably on autopilot? The F-16 fighter jets that intercepted Hefner's plane could see he was slumped over and unresponsive. Did he suffer a medical emergency? Was he rendered unconscious due to a sudden loss of cabin pressure? And were his passengers also incapacitated? No one radioed a mayday call, and the fighter pilots reported the passenger window shades were down. Hefner was a retired Southwest Airlines captain.
I knew him personally.
NBC News aviation analyst John Cox says Hefner should have received a cockpit warning if the cabin was losing pressure.
At 14,000 feet, you will automatically get the deployment of oxygen masks.
Without oxygen, hypoxia can quickly set in, headaches and nausea, trouble concentrating, then loss of consciousness. For a second day, investigators today have been inspecting and documenting the crash scene in a remote and rugged Virginia forest.
The airplane, pilot qualifications, maintenance records, basically everything is on the table.
Investigators plan to use a helicopter to remove the wreckage within a few days. Lester?
All right, Tom Costello, thank you. Tonight, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie is now the latest former ally of President Trump to openly take him on for the Republican nomination. Gabe Gutierrez has late details on a big field getting more crowded.
Tonight, Chris Christie making it official, kicking off his White House bid in New Hampshire. Back in 2016, Christie endorsed Donald Trump.
There is no better fighter than Donald Trump.
But now, the brash former New Jersey governor is a fierce critic, arguing he's the strongest to take on Trump and slamming other Republicans for not doing the same.
They kind of cozy up to him. They hope that he implodes and that if they're nice to him, that they'll inherit his voters.
He joins a growing GOP field, 10 Republican candidates by the end of this week, with former Vice President Mike Pence expected to announce tomorrow. But former President Trump remains the clear front-runner.
They're at 1%, some are at 0. I hear Chris Christie's coming in. What's the purpose? And he's polling at 0.
But some New Hampshire Republicans tell us they're looking for a Trump alternative.
Would you prefer Chris Christie over Donald Trump?
Right now, I'm afraid yes. Too many issues where he's too self-absorbed.
Others backing the former president.
I like everything he's done about the wall. I love immigrants, but I just like him coming in legally.
Trump's top rival, Governor Ron DeSantis, today touting his economic record in Florida.
In Washington, they're adding trillions of more in debt. In Florida, we're running budget surpluses.
Chris Christie is staking his campaign here in New Hampshire, but he faces an uphill battle. The growing GOP field may end up giving Trump an advantage. The Christie campaign tells us that it plans to engage Trump and act as a counterpunch. Lester?
All right, Gabe Gutierrez in New Hampshire, thank you. In 60 seconds, Prince Harry's history-making testimony. What he said about the tabloids, his privacy, and Princess Diana.
Hey, it's Lena. Let's see what's on Pearl Studio 930 this June. Women rule the screen this month with Anna and the King, Pretty Woman.
Could you tell me how to get to Beverly Hills?
Sure, for $5. And Runaway Bride. You can dance and you can jive with this Meryl Streep suite featuring Mamma Mia, and The Devil Wears Prada. But don't worry, gents. Take to the skies with War Drum's Pearl Harbor and Midway. And you can't miss our movie of the month, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. There's always something for everyone on Pearl Studio 930. What are you looking forward to?
We're back now with Prince Harry's historic testimony in a London courtroom today, lashing out at the tabloids he says have invaded his privacy for most of his life. Megan Fitzgerald was there.
Tonight, a media frenzy outside a London courthouse as Prince Harry arrived. He's the first senior British royal to testify in more than 130 years, taking on Mirror Group newspapers, one of several tabloid media outlets he and wife Meghan accuse of invading their privacy and gathering information unlawfully. The Duke of Sussex came out swinging in the tense courtroom, describing what he calls incredibly invasive media coverage since he was a child. And in a written statement alleging journalists and editors had blood on their hands, that constant tabloid intrusion, inciting of hatred and harassment led to his and Meghan's decision to flee to the U.S., and that journalists had hacked his mother's voicemail, which he said was vile and made him physically sick. But the newspaper's attorney hit back, exposing gaps in Harry's memory. The prince admitting he couldn't recall if he had even read some of the articles he said caused him distress in his written statement. The attorney denied Mirror journalists hacked Harry or Diana's phone and said articles about the prince were based on legal sources like royal press releases, tips from those close to him, and information from the public. Soft-spoken, Harry remained calm, though at times appeared visibly flustered during hours of intense interrogation.
How did it go in court for Harry today?
I think given that this was a more aggressive form of questioning, he will be quite pleased with how he performed. He did keep his composure.
The prince is expected to be back in court again tomorrow in what should be his last day on the stand. Lester?
All right, Megan Fitzgerald, thank you. We've got a lot more to tell you about. Still ahead, the serious warning for parents about a popular baby lounger. And later, while some companies are struggling to find workers, why some new college graduates are seeing their job offers disappear. We're back with a disturbing update for parents after at least 10 deaths were linked to a popular baby lounger since 2015. In 2021, the CPSC recalled more than 3 million boppy loungers after 8 infant deaths. NBC News recently did an investigation into these types of baby loungers and found they were associated with more than twice as many deaths than federal regulators previously announced. Unemployment is near 50-year lows, but some employers are getting worried about a slowing economy and taking on new hires, and it's falling on the newest members of the workforce, with some college grads losing job offers after they accept them. Brian Chung has the story.
Weeks after graduating from the University of Virginia, Liliana Nabhan's bags are packed to move across the country for her first ever job at a tech company in San Diego.
So I was just mostly excited to get started with my career.
But just days before graduating, the company that hired her said it was pulling her job offer.
Hearing that I was going to have to go back to the drawing board and re-find a job was, obviously really disheartening, especially being so close to my college graduation.
Nabhan is among a group of young job seekers increasingly sharing stories about landing jobs, only to have those job offers rescinded. Rescinded offer comments have risen 50% from last year on Fishbowl, a networking platform operated by job site Glassdoor. Companies like Meta and Amazon have acknowledged pulling job offers as they also lay workers off with concern about a slowing economy.
It's largely a reflection of what we're seeing in the broader job market. So this tends to be more white-collar related roles, and it tends to be interns or new grads.
LinkedIn says hiring for entry-level jobs requiring a college degree is down 45% this year, and some with firm offers are being told to wait to start. A study from Intelligent.com says 28% of business school grads have had their start dates pushed to next year. Experts' advice to grads nervous about those early offers: don't stop job searching, research the company's financial standing, and cast a wide net.
Make sure that the skills you're working on are transferable to other industries or other jobs.
Nabhan is moving to San Diego anyway for a fresh start.
Pick up a waitressing job somewhere, or maybe just take some time to kind of pivot and really figure out what I want to do.
Not the new start she was hoping for, but a new start nonetheless. Brian Chung, NBC News.
When we come back here tonight, there are trailblazers, and then there's Rue McHenrick. We join him on his epic trek around the country to inspire America. Finally, tonight we're taking the scenic route around the entire perimeter of the United States. Gotti Schwartz with how one conservationist is blazing his own trail and inspiring America.
To say ultra hiker Rue McKinrick has a thirst for adventure would be an understatement.
Do you run across a lot of dangerous animals?
I had a mountain lion that was continuing to come into camp, and I felt the need at some point just to pack up and walk through the night. Because
Whoa, hold on, hold on.
Yeah.
You decided to pack up and then walk into the darkness?
Yeah, I felt like I'd make it on my terms.
But that is the price you pay when you have a dream as big as his. You see, Rue's on a mission to pave the way for the greatest trail America has ever seen. A 14,000-mile American perimeter trail. Think the Pacific Crest Trail, made famous by Reese Witherspoon in Wild.
Oh my God. What have I done?
But the APT would be over 5 times longer, circumnavigating the entire U.S. A track that took him 3 years to complete the first time he did it.
In some ways, I got the easy part out of the way already.
Walking all around the United States.
The hard part now, doing it again to lay the groundwork for what he hopes could be a national trail system in the future.
We have a highway system, and you can drive across the country if you like. I think it's reasonable that we also have trails that mimic that kind of system.
To connect us.
To connect us.
And when it finally came time for us to part ways, the sheer magnitude of his dream came into view.
I've never ended an interview like this, but I guess this is goodbye, right?
I think this is the end of the road.
I'm headed to the car. You're literally headed to Oregon.
Yeah, I'm just gonna start walking that way. Maybe I'll beat you there.
Rue McKinrick, a man who doesn't mind taking the long way home. Gotti Schwartz, NBC News, San Jacinto, California, 900 miles away from Bend.
And that's Nightly News for this Tuesday. Thank you for watching, everyone. I'm Lester Holt. Please take care of yourself and each other. Good night.
Movie of the month, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Saturday night at 9:30 on Pearl. Discover what Iceland has to offer with actor Alexandra Armstrong.
Look at that.